everyone. Welcome back to Story Impact. I'm your host, Lisa Towles. We all know the power of a great narrative, and on this show, we focus on the master visionaries who bring those narratives to life. This series is my way of giving authors a powerful platform, a voice that helps connect their stories and unique vision directly with readers. Our conversations dig deep here. We look past the finished pages to explore what's truly at the core, the creator's process, their inspirations, and the unstoppable purpose that fuels their work. In addition to the series, I'm also a crime novelist, and you can read about my latest crime thriller, Switch, on Amazon or on lisatolles.com. All right, let's dive in because I'm so excited to talk to you, my guest today. Today's guest, Daniella Bernett, is a writer who understands that mystery isn't just a genre. It's a promise to the reader that every page will pull them deeper into her world of secrets, motives, and irresistible tension. Daniella Bernett is the author of the long-running Emmeline Kirby, Gregory Longdon Mystery Series, where a sharp-eyed journalist and an elegant jewel thief find themselves entangled in murder, intrigue, and high-stakes espionage. I just love that pattern of the journalist and a jewel thief. We're going to talk about that today. What makes Daniella's storytelling so compelling is the balance she strikes between old-world charm and contemporary danger. She writes for readers who crave puzzles, international settings, and the dance between truth and deception, and she delivers it with sophistication and heart. Daniella is also a member of some of the crime writing world's most respected communities, Mystery Writers of America, International Thriller Writers, where she has contributed as both a panelist and a board member. Her newest book, out tomorrow, which we're going to talk about today, takes Emmeline and Gregory, her characters, into their most perilous adventure yet, and I'm excited to talk to her about that. Please welcome Daniella Bernett, and Daniella, thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for that lovely opening. I'm blushing here with that opening that you gave me, that introduction.
You've earned it, and yeah, I'm excited to dig in. So your new book, which drops tomorrow, congratulations, is
Thank you.
Secrets Lie in Wait.
Yes.
And that book drops readers straight into danger. Kidnapping, the Russian mafia, a high-stakes frame job. I'm curious, after all of the other Emmeline Gregory books, what sparked the initial idea for this particular set of crimes in this adventure?
Well, Gregory, as a jewel thief, he loves many jewels, emeralds, rubies, and sapphires, but his Achilles heel is diamonds. So to get him into a little bit deeper trouble with his Achilles heel, I started off with he's trying to go after a diamond smuggling operation headed by the Russian mob boss Bogdan Kozlov. And that's also connected. He's trying to recover the golden tulip, which is a 130 carat yellow diamond that was stolen during World War II by a notorious Nazi. So I connected the two, and I always enjoy history, so it's like a little bit of history blended with the present day diamond smuggling operation, and I always like to give that aspect to my readers. So, and in this particular book, which I think it's a little bit more intriguing and gripping, is because Gregory at the outset is the one who's in deepest trouble and being framed for murder and in another country, and nobody knows where he is, because usually Emmeline, as the journalist, her probing questions are the ones that set off the explosion of misadventure in their stories, and they have to be, the chase starts from that point. But here we start with the chase with Gregory, because first of all, he's been kidnapped, nobody knows where he is, and now he's being accused of murder in another country.
Oh, all right. Well, Gregory survives on charm, wit, quick thinking. Of course, he's a jewel thief. I mean, that takes a very specific set of skills to do that correctly.
Yes.
And this story pushes him kind of very, very much far past his usual limits. What did you want readers to understand about him when everything he's relying on gets stripped away? Just thinking about how you want an antagonist to be someone that the reader can identify with, even though he's not really an antagonist. He's not a bad guy. He's a very lovable character.
Well, that was the whole point. I mean, yes, technically a jewel thief is a quote unquote bad guy, but Gregory is intelligent, and he only steals from those who can afford the loss. He doesn't do Ponzi schemes, and he tries in this case with the golden tulip, he's trying to restore that to the original owners, because it's been stolen, centuries ago. Decades ago during the World War II, and he's trying to right that injustice that was done long ago, and he gets in trouble for doing the right thing in this case, and he faces retaliation from the mob boss, because the mob boss, a Dutch underworld figure, someone high up in the British government, they're all after the golden tulip, and they all think that Gregory has it, or he's going to steal it. So that's the premise, and that's why he's at the core of the web of intrigue in here.
I love how complex that presents to a reader. We think about characters like Indiana Jones, and kind of like the ongoing tagline to those movies, that cross belongs in a museum. So, I mean, yes, he's stealing it, but he's stealing it to kind of set kind of the balance of power in the right place, and maybe that's what Gregory's doing too. And I also love kind of the mix of modern and history. Thinking about movies like The Monument Men, and thinking about like
Yes.
what was done with all of the nefarious schemes regarding these World War II recovered jewels.
Right.
I love it. Um,
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in history. I mean, it's important for everyone, but especially as a writer, to learn about history so you understand how things evolved to the way they are today. I mean, that's very important, that understanding. And everyone has a past, everything has a past, so you can build on the past to create a new present and a new future. So that's what I like to do, that melange of different eras in my books.
mhm. I'm really curious about Emmeline as a character, like always stirring up trouble with her reporting. And, like I was going to ask you, how do you kind of balance her journalistic integrity with everything, all of the risks that she takes? I mean, and kind of how did those risks, how did you sort of like reconcile those in this book and in the series? But I also kind of wanted to go back and ask you about, I mean, you have a long career in communications and journalism. I mean, so you're kind of drawing on your own career to craft these characters maybe in some way. Any reflection on that?
Well, I mean, my degree is in journalism, so that was the natural. I knew that, in my mind, I studied that. I knew that in terms of communication. So that was when I created Emmeline, that's what I wanted, because I understood that. So in terms of her character, she's very strong and assertive, and she wants the truth, and that's admirable. But sometimes she pushes the limits too much, and that's what gets her into trouble, or that's what causes, the retaliation. Her subjects are want retaliation because they don't want the truth exposed, and that's her core fabric. The truth must be exposed, and culprits, or whatever the corruption, must be they must be brought to justice. So it is a delicate balancing act, and she has gotten into trouble because sometimes it blinds her, the need for the truth blinds her to the dangers. And Gregory and Superintendent Oliver Burnell of Scotland Yard, they have to pull her back sometimes because she doesn't realize that she's blinded by the drive to find the truth. So that adds to the element of suspense and heightens the danger as well in the stories. At least that's what I'm aiming for.
Mm. How do Emmeline and Gregory feel about each other? I mean, tell me about like their interesting dynamic and how that has evolved through the different books. Are they a romantic connection? Do they have a love-hate relationship? And like, where is it right now in this book?
Okay, well, right now in this book, they are married, but it took a while to get to this point. In the first book in the series, Lead Me into Danger, they hadn't seen each other in 2 years. They had been engaged, but then the day before their wedding, he disappeared. She hadn't seen him in 2 years. And then she literally runs into him in Venice after she witnesses two men try to murder a colleague of hers. And then that story starts from there. And at the beginning, it's like at the beginning, there's this friction because deep down, she's happy to see him, but she pulls herself back because he had left her. She doesn't understand why he had left her. And in the interim, when he had left her, she learns that he's a jewel thief because she didn't know that. So all of that starts. And then slowly, they start getting pulled again together in each book into the different crimes that are committed. And slowly they get back to what they were. And then at one point he almost loses her again because his secrets and his dark past are always looming in the background.
Mhm.
And that adds an element of the unknown to each story. So even now when they're married, he still goes on off clandestine forays and she doesn't know what he's doing. He keeps her in the dark, and that's to protect her. And she knows that he would do anything to save her life,
Mm.
but she wishes that he didn't keep secret. But then again, from an author's perspective, secrets are what drive the story and can lead to other tangents to create another storyline.
That's what I love so much about Gregory. For me, as a crime thriller series, or secrets are really like my primary currency. I mean, they drive every single book I've ever read. Family secrets, state secrets. I mean, so
Right.
that really appeals to me. Um, but that creates so much wonderful like complexity with those two characters. I mean, so for Emmeline, it must in a way kind of be like married to like someone who works for the State Department or a CIA operative who disappears and like, they're not going to say where they're going because it's really better for her if he doesn't. But, thinking about like all the research that I was just thinking about the commonalities between like a journalist and a jewel thief. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of clandestine behavior, a lot of planning. You have to have really like a cool head to know kind of
Yes.
where to go to get what you need. And yeah, it's just such an interesting premise. I love it.
Well, Gregory has the cooler head than she does because she has a short temper and she's impatient, and that's what propels her when she's going after a story. He has the cooler head, so
Hmm.
so that's again the opposites that attract. But then they do have the core fabric that murder is a taboo, and they need to a murder can't go unpunished, and that propels them. And they're both intelligent and they respect each other's intelligence, so that's why their pairing works well together because they're approaching the crime from different perspectives.
Hmm. Hmm. Tell me about the locale or locales in this book and what research did you do on those and how did all that work?
Well, Emmeline and Gregory, for those of your audience who don't know, they're British, and they're both British, and they live in London. but this book is partially set in London, and most of the action takes place in Amsterdam, a lovely city. So setting plays an important role in all of my books. I feel like it's a character all its own, and it helps to set the mood and to propel the story. So I visited all the locations in my books, and including Amsterdam. So it made a deep impression on me. And then also in terms of the storyline, Amsterdam is a known diamond trading hub. So that, that's another thing I could weave into the story, and that's how that evolved in terms of the setting. So it's a key locations in the book are places that I visited. So I wanted to bring that to my readers, because I like to give them the feel of the sights and the sounds, and to make them feel like they're walking in the characters' footsteps, because it's a journey, an escape, at least for a little while. So why not go somewhere different?
Oh, absolutely. And I think unless you're writing a fantasy book and really like building another world, readers want that authenticity. I mean, like they want to know that you've done your research about like how to navigate from this place to this place, and I think readers appreciate it. What about the golden tulip, the 130 carat diamond, with such a turbulent past as kind of the centerpiece of crime in this book? I mean, like, is that real, or is there a particular jewel that you built that on?
The golden tulip is fictitious, but I massage the history. It's modeled on the Florentine diamond, which was a nine-sided 126 carat double-faceted yellow diamond, and it had a fascinating history. I just happened to stumble across this, and it was taken into battle in 1467 by the Duke of Burgundy. Then it was lost, found, and stolen through the centuries. And that was just too juicy a little nugget of information for me to ignore.
Yeah.
The golden tulip is a 130 carat yellow diamond. It's a brooch set on a platinum stem with emeralds, and so I just massaged that in the history of it, and made it my golden tulip. But it is based on a real famous diamond.
Wow. Well, if you have a picture of that, send that to me, and I can kind of add that to our video recordings. I'm sure people will be looking it up after this too. So we talked about locale and Amsterdam. I wanted to ask you a little bit about craft for you. I mean, do you work a full-time job, and do you write every weekend, or like how do you fit writing into your life, and what is the discipline that you bring to this continuous output of new books?
Well, currently I'm unemployed, but so I have more time to write now. But when I was working a full-time job, I would write in the evenings when I came home from work, and on the weekends. And I tried to write squeeze it in as best I could. Now I have more time to write. But it's a pleasure too. I mean, some days when the idea is really rolling along, I can write a couple of pages. Other days I can only write a paragraph, but I try to, write as much as I can.
So thinking about the writing journey, I mean, for listeners who are not professional authors, the writing of the book is like one of like 100 steps in the process of bringing it to readers. How do you organize your time in terms of everything else that goes into it? Like, do you have like some days where you're only editing, other days when you're writing, some days that you're marketing, or like how do you fit all that in?
Well, the marketing aspect of it comes like in the weeks and the months before a new book comes out. So I try to arrange blog posts and interviews, like this wonderful interview, and reviews. So that takes place, a little bit all along until the book is released. In terms of writing, I like to write the entire book before, and then I go back and reread and edit and so on. Of course, some days you come back and say, oh, you revise a certain section that you wrote the day before, but I usually like to write the whole thing straight through and then go back and edit when it's done, when the story is complete.
Mhm.
And I like to plot the story. I plot the whole idea in my head before I start writing. I don't outline, that's too much for me to do, but I like to have the basic skeleton of the plot to follow before I start. I actually sit down and write. Like, I know who the murderer is at the beginning, because that's important, because you need to know when to where to drop the red herrings, where to drop the real clues. You know,
Mhm.
if a certain twist comes along the way as I'm writing, of course I'm going to work that in, but I like to have that basic plot to guide me before I start writing.
Mm. So you're kind of half plotter, half pantser then.
I guess so. I think I lean more towards the plotter than the pantser. But yeah, if a wonderful idea pops up in my head along the way, why not introduce it? Why not make readers a little bit more happy? At least I hope so.
That's what I was going to ask you about too. So when you said kind of if a twist comes up somewhere along the way, how does it come up for you? Do you get an idea like while you're driving when a part of your brain is passive, or a lot of people get ideas in the shower? Like how would a twist come up for you? And how do you know, oh, yes, I definitely want to use this?
Well, it depends. I mean, a lot of times in a dream, I could get a dream and I have to write down. I wake up and I write something down, or a good line of dialogue. It comes that way, or it does sometimes when I'm taking a walk outside. Something pops into my head, or it might, like, inspiration in general comes from articles or a little snippet of conversation. So it really varies, but inspiration comes from different places.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. I think a lot of writers would say that too. Um, So, what number book is this book in your series?
A Secret's Lie in Wait is book 10.
It's book 10. Okay, do you have more planned in this series, or are you not sure yet?
I do have more. I'm actually working on book 11 right now.
Okay.
I know many people ask me, well, how long is going to be the series? At this stage, I'm not sure. I have a number of ideas for future books in my head. When those ideas stop coming, then I'll, stop the series and start something else. But right now, Emmeline and Gregory are still in a cauldron of trouble, and there will be for a foreseeable future.
And they're still talking to you. Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
What what do you know now after writing all of these Emmeline and Gregory books that you wish you knew at the beginning of the series?
Oh, I guess it's to trust myself, because, yeah, I mean, writers are plagued by self-doubt in general, but certain things, to trust myself and the story that I'm telling, because that's very important, because not to hold myself back because I'm not sure. I mean, yes, I want to please the reader, but I want to tell them a story, the story that I want. And I think that's important for aspiring writers in general. You write the story that you want, not what the market trends are, because if you love the story, if you want to tell the story, then it'll come out right. Otherwise, it won't be such a good exercise.
That you literally read my mind, because I was also going to ask you, as an experienced author, how you balance kind of answering the call of what wants to come out and writing for a genre so that you can, ultimately like not just sell your books, but to make them seen by readers. I mean that broad visibility,
Yeah,
discoverability is so important, and I think you answered that.
good. Thank you.
Um, all right. So, where can readers find your books? And Secrets Lie in Wait is coming out tomorrow, so it'll be available on Amazon, right?
Yes, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever retailers sell books. And if your audience wants to learn more about me, they can look at my website, daniellabernett.com. Again, there are links to where you can find my book. There's also a page with an email address if somebody wants to drop me a note. I always like hearing from people and talking about books and writing. And I'm on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook and Goodreads. So I look forward to hearing from more people.
All right. So you're all over the internet, basically.
Well, not quite, but almost there. I mean, as an author, you have to be.
Absolutely. Well, warmest congratulations on the release
Thank
of
you very
your
much.
book, and thank you for joining me today. And viewers, we will catch you next time.
Thank you very much. I had a wonderful time.